I want to run out and make snow angels. I love to write for children, and the joy that I see on the children's faces when I read to them is priceless.
Area. This is an 1899 mercantile building, and mercantile buildings are very unique. They are identified as a building built in the late 1800s that has a mezzanine, and that is basement is actually a usable retail space with a central declining stairway. Many people remember the old SS Kresge's and the Woolworths, and this was the first Sears Roebuck store in southern Ohio in the 1920s, and it was built for a dry goods store. This was the site of the Portsmouth dry goods store, and that lasted until the early 1920s. That can handle that. So thinking outside the box and knowing what both Paul and I like, which is art, and we love to encourage local development and encourage local artists, I approached the Portsmouth Area Arts Council, PAAC, about the possibility of an artist-run gallery here. Because in the course of running the Emporium at Portsmouth, we have met lots of local artists and represented some here as well. So we knew that there not only were a number of artists here, but we also knew there's a market for them. But my key point was twofold. One, to not have another empty building in a downtown, an area downtown in Appalachia, which we see so many of, and secondly, to encourage local participation, because I knew PAAC had a good relationship with local schools. I knew that in any association with them, it would get young people involved at some point, it would get seniors involved at some point, it would get community involved at some point. And as you can see from this event that's here, and with the musicians up there and the type of people coming in to browse, it's working. And I have no doubt this will continue to grow, expand, and become very successful.
What to do. So I contacted the Portsmouth Area Arts Council, and they wanted to do something for visual artists, but didn't know exactly what to do or how to do it. So through involvement with them, and the guild has been formed, this gallery is open. I think it's a wonderful way to educate our area about art, to introduce them to different types of art. And for me, I want to continue teaching some, but I don't want to do that full time. I want to work on my own ideas.
And to grow as to using my art, my photography to make art pieces, not just pictures that's going to be framed, but to turn them into actual pieces that people would want to have on the walls as decorations. And I am beginning to integrate my photography into a stained glass effect and make illuminations that lights can go behind them, like shadow boxes and night lights and window hangers, things like that. So I just have a hope now of a future, and I feel confident as an artist that I have what people want to see.
Well, I was just trying to find a way to make my artwork more marketable, because I really focused on paintings, and I was trying to find something that I could market to people. You know, people will pay a few dollars for a pack of cards, and so I was trying to find some way that I could do my artwork, but try to find a niche where I could kind of branch out. And so I kind of focused on that, and I do try to put expression in the cards when I do them. So
he had to have something to fall back on. The only thing that he had was his skills as far as his hobby of woodworking. And we found out very quickly that there was a market for that, because you can't just go anywhere to, you know, get custom pieces made. So he's made furniture and those sorts of things. And while we were, involved in that, we found that there were other people like us who needed a place to display and show what they could do. And so we started meeting a lot of artists and going to different craft fairs, and we had some bad experiences and we had some wonderful experiences, and we met a lot of people who really needed a facility to be able to sell their work and to show it to the community. They wanted to be able to teach what they had as a heritage. There's a lot of art that will be lost when the older people die, and so they wanted to be able to preserve that and teach it to the younger ones. So that's how we got involved. I really hope that it does. We want this to grow. We want some of our artists in here to build a clientele of their own and expand into some of the empty buildings that are adjacent and have an art district right down Chillicothe Street. I mean, other cities have done it, and so we really hope to do that for our community. We love being here in the Portsmouth area. We've had the opportunity many times to move, and it's been suggested to us to move, but our family is here, our heritage is here, and we don't want to leave, and we're trying our best to stay here.
Started maybe 3 years ago, and just started with simple stringing, and I have a class coming up in 2 weeks in making a necklace. And then I started into bead embroidery, and that's what I really love to do most. So.
Is your class open to how many students?
I have spots for 10, and I think I have 6 signed up. So still have more spots in 2 weeks to go. Michael says that he wants to launch us off into our own separate businesses. That's his vision, and I could see that happening. And just continue to have more people coming in, but although I think we're about to fill up.
I started out in high school, being from the early 70s, and made hippie necklaces, my hippie beads, I love beads. And as my children grew older, I started making earrings and just single beaded necklaces. A group of women accidentally met, and one of the ladies did what they call peyote, and it's one bead at a time. And I started with this, fell in love with her about 3 years of gathering all the equipment needed and going to North Carolina for a week to take lessons. I started making my own glass beads to put into my own jewelry. So I now make my own beads and incorporate those into my jewelry pieces.
Caustic medium and mixed medium and photography, but this piece is encaustic, which means waxed that has been melted. So it's got beeswax and pigment, and each layer is fused in. Actually, I use a hot wax method called propane torch. So you melt the wax, you put on the layer to prepare the board, and then with each subsequent layer you actually torch it with a propane torch to fuse the wax in. So there's a lot of guessing about what's going to happen as you melt the wax, and you keep building it up layer after layer after layer. It's a really ancient form of artwork, actually from the 5th century before Christ. And you see it a lot under mixed media, and you don't really know what that is, but they're using beeswax with different kinds of pigment. So that's what I create here at ArtAffects. It's really cool. Thank you.